Hi, I'm Nia, and welcome to Flicks Talk. So, this episode is going to be about Christmas horror films. If you know me, you know I love the genre horror. And of course, they had to have horror movies for every holiday, and Christmas is coming up. It is the beginning of November. So, I figure, hey, I'll just go ahead and do a Christmas horror movie video and get that out of the way. Maybe in December I'll do my Christmas movies, but right now, since coming off of Halloween, let's just go ahead and just stick with horror for a moment. So, it's not that many movies I decided to talk about, just a few, because there are really more Christmas horror movies, or horror movies that take place around the Christmas time, than I thought. So all these I've seen, and some of them have sequels, some of them have remakes. I'm just going to mention those but not really talk about them, so pretty much the ones I am talking about are the originals. You know, the number ones, the first ones that were put out. So Krampus is the first one. It came out in 2015. And this one is kind of a freaky movie, but, you know, it can't be too freaky since it is rated PG-13. This is what it's about. Got most of my information, all my information from IMDb. So if you want more information of these movies that I'm about to talk about, that is where you need to go. So Krampus is a boy who has a bad Christmas. Accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home. It's like a cousin reads a letter that he wrote to Santa, and then this boy, I think his name is Max, he rips up the letter, throws it up in the air, and then all of a sudden, it's like all hell breaks loose for Christmas. For their Christmas dinner, their family dinner. You know, the city, the power goes out, and just other stuff happens, and, you know, it's just big nightmare. I've only seen it once. It was better than I thought it was going to be, so I recommend it if you like those. It's a cross between Night of the Living Dead and Gremlins, so if you like those two movies, then you will like this one. A huge part of, actually, Krampus is an Australian and German folklore. So that's kind of what that is. December 5th is a festival that they hold every year out in Austria or German land. They celebrate Krampus coming to punish naughty children. So December 5th, that is when the Austrians, they kind of celebrate the punishment of naughty kids. The first act is purely like a Christmas movie. Then after that, it just turns into a horror or a dark fantasy movie. And you can watch it on some streaming apps right now, so you just have to look. I try to find. I don't think you can watch it for free. There's a lot more Krampus movies than I thought. There's like 5 or 6 other ones. I don't know if they're sequels or just other ones, but I've just seen that one from 2015. I have not seen any of the other ones, so I can't speak about them. The next one, that's Krampus. Just a little quick thing about that. This next one, Black Christmas, came out in 1974. It's rated R. There are 2 other remakes. One came out in 2006. The other one came out in 2019. I have not seen the 2019. The 2019 is actually PG-13, while the other 2 is rated R. I have seen the 2006, and I thought it was actually a very decent remake. Very close, at least to me, that I recall. Very close to the original. So, but anyway, this is what Black Christmas is about. During their Christmas break, a group of sorority girls are stalked by a stranger. So the original title was Silent Night, Evil Night, or Stop Me was another kind of like working title. But they went with Black Christmas. Actually, the director, Bob Clark, who you may know as the director of A Christmas Story. He did this one. He also directed Porky. So he started horror, then kind of like a raunchy movie, and then he did his family-oriented, and he did a lot of family-oriented type movies. So apparently, Black Christmas, there was like, he toned down the gore or the scareness of the movie. And he has no nudity in this movie. So a lot of that had to do with Bob Clark. 3 people did the voice of the bad guy, who you never see, the killer. You never see him. You hear him on the voice. Hear him on the phone. His name is Billy. But 3 people did the voice. One is Nick Mancuso, the director Bob Clark, and also some unknown actress. It's happened such a long time ago. They don't recall who the actress was, so an unnamed actress also played Billy, the voice of Billy. Gene Siskel from Siskel and Ebert. He was not a horror movie fan. Just go ahead and tell you that right now. He gave this movie 1.5 stars out of 4, and he just gave it bad ratings. Thumbs down from him. But this movie is actually not that bad. So, anyway, the line in the movie, which here's the line, is also in another movie. This one came out in 1974. This other one came out, I think, in 1979. But the calls are coming from inside the house. It's also in When a Stranger Calls. Also, just another Christmas movie here. Black Christmas is also set in the same city. Well, it's set in Bedford, which is and that is like the same city as A Wonderful Life takes place in. So the director did that on purpose to pay homage to the Christmas classic. So now, every time you watch It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas, you can think of Black Christmas as well. There was a story that they were TV stations in Florida were going to air Black Christmas on TV, like in the late 70s, but then they had already had it planned, but then some girls have turned up missing or found dead around the Gainesville area, and so they decided not to air that movie, The Black Christmas, and that they were going to retitle it, and when they did eventually air it, I think in May of like the following year, it was under like a different title, under A Stranger Inside or something, but the women that they end up finding dead and postponed the television release of this movie was the victims of Ted Bundy. But I'm also thinking that the whole story behind, I may be mixing this up, that's why I'm not bringing it up. If you want to find I may be wrong, so I'm not going to say, but read more about this online. You know what? But Bob Clark, he was working on a sequel, and he was going to have 2 characters from the original who survived in the original be back for the sequel. But at his death, Time of Death, which was in 2007. Untimely death, that is, because he was involved in a car accident with his son, and they were both killed by a drunk driver. But he was working on a sequel, a true sequel to Black Christmas. So, but anyway, there are actually known people in that film that have gone on from 1974 that went on to do more horror films. And Margot Kidder's one, John Saxon is one, so, you know, Margot Kidder went on to do, I think, or she had already done Sisters, or will do Sisters, and then will do Amityville Horror. John Saxon would have went and gone on and done the 1984 Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, and I think a few other characters went on to do some other known horror films. So, in this movie, you know, it didn't, it was made for such a low budget, but it did very well, and it ended up surprising Margot Kidder that that little movie actually became like a cult classic during, you know, most of its money, and it has really came from like video and DVD rentals, and so it's become a cult classic now. It did okay at the box office, but it wasn't as successful as they wanted. But then, of course, like today, it's a cult classic. And it's a good movie. It really is. It's a very good film. Kind of freaky, too. Having the killer inside at all times. And if you watch the movie, and this is the original, as I say, 1974, if you watch some of the dark scenes, you can see the shadow of Billy. But that's about the only times you see... Arrange my notes. See him. So, anyway, yeah. I mean, there were so many notes about this movie that I just picked out just a few, just to keep it kind of a little bit short about talking about the movies. So, let's move on to another good one. This one really surprised me how good it is. It surprised me how good it really is. You know, you even read some comments, some reviews on IMDb, and they said, you know, pretty much turn off IMDb, watch the movie, and then come back, because you may read some spoilers, and that is exactly it. That's true. Someone, you know. Anyway, in 2016, a rated R movie came out, and it was called Better Watch Out. On a quiet suburban street, a babysitter must defend a 12-year-old boy from intruders, only to discover it's far from a normal invasion. It's like this 12-year-old boy had a crush on the babysitter. He even put the moves on the babysitter, and she's like, no. But, yeah, the original title for this was Safe Neighborhood, and two of the actors, the parents actually, were American. All the kids were Australian, so the film was made in Australia, which makes sense. So, but they had to make fake snow because of a lot of these Christmas movies, or movies that take place where it snows. I think it took place like in Pittsburgh, somewhere here in the States, but filmed over in another country. But if you really want to watch this film, it is on a lot of streaming services. It is on Peacock. It is on Plex, AMC Plus, Pluto TV, and Tubi. So you got plenty of options to go and see that film. The video literally, or the movie, it didn't come out in the theaters at all. Because, you know, I looked up and it didn't show what the starting budget was, or what it opened up with. None of that was there, so I think it was purely just, you know, movie made and boom. But it is actually a very good film, and a certain scene reminds me of a part in Home Alone. You see a paint can flying. Holy cow. That's the scene I'm talking about. But in this movie, they take it a little step further. So it's not just a bam, you know, flat in the face. Horror movie. there you go. That kind of gives you a hint of what may come. But anyway, I saw that. I was like, whoa, holy cow. Yeah, but anyway, the invasion was pretty much like Black Christmas, but the intruder is like right there in front of your face the entire time because it was a 12-year-old boy. I'll go ahead and give you that. But watch the film. So I gave that big part away, but watch the film. 2003 rated R movie came out. Surprisingly good film. A friend of mine had me watch it, and it was actually very good. Starring Ray Wise and Lin Shaye. Dead End. Christmas Eve. That's when it takes place, on Christmas Eve. On his way to his in-laws with his family, Frank Harrington decides to try a shortcut for the first time in 20 years. It turns out to be the biggest mistake of his life. Yep. It was a smash hit on home media, earning $77 million on DVD sales. Other than that, you know, the movie right here, this one has a big twist, and it's kind of fun. It's not scary to me. It's just entertaining, and I actually have to go and rewatch the film because they have, like, I think I listed 2, but they have like 4 after credit things. So one of them is you see a picture of the family during a party, which they suspect of a Christmas celebration. And another one is there's an additional scene after the credits. 2 old guys are cleaning the road, and they find a note that Frank wrote, you know, earlier on in the film, and it says, "Things I want to do when this is over." That is what the note says. So, and there's like 2 other scenes, or 2 other little notations, little crazy credit things. So, and you can watch this movie on a few streaming apps, Freevee, Plex, and Tubi. Or, you know, you can find it on DVD somewhere if you want. They should actually, you know, this one I would like to see on the big screen, because this one would probably be really good on the big screen. I know it came out in 2003, but that was almost 20 years ago. So, yeah. But, hey, Ray Wise and Lin Shaye, that right there just makes it worthwhile anyway. 2007, rated R, P2. P2. A businesswoman is pursued by a psychopath after being locked in a parking garage on Christmas Eve. Yeah. She pretty much, this woman, she wears this white dress for pretty much most of the film. There was 14 white dresses used, and because they had to have various stages of the dirtiness and decay. So first, you know, brand new, and then by the time you actually see her, it's like, oh my gosh, she went through heck. But yeah, it was shot in 2 months up in Toronto, and they used a real parking garage. And of course, the filming was done at night, so that way it could still be used during the day, and at night that's when they mainly filmed the movie. There are 3 different dogs used to portray the Rottweiler. Sometimes when animals are in films, they sometimes become a victim. But you can watch P2 on Freevee, Plex, and Pluto TV. There's a Christmas song that I didn't mind it at all. But then I watched P2, and now I kind of find the song annoying, and it's an Elvis song, Blue Christmas. It's just, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like they overplayed it, or made a big focus on that song. And so I'm like, ugh. Blue Christmas. Anyway, But if you think about it, that can be kind of freaky. You could have a crazy, like, security guard that works the parking deck, and yeah, obviously he had a crush on her, and he wanted a little bit. He had no friends, and he wanted to be friends, and maybe more than friends, and but she had no interest in him. So I think she had a boyfriend anyway. So yeah, that could, if you think about it, that could be kind of freaky. I kind of looked around. I went to on parking decks a little bit after I saw that movie. Like, am I by myself? Am I okay? It does kind of. All right. 1980, rated R, movie called Christmas Evil. Yeah, here we go. Here's one. Unlike those where they were like, well, P2 did have him, I think, dressed up as Santa. I think, as Santa suit. But anyway, this one, Killer Santa, Christmas Evil. It's a toy factory worker, mentally scarred as a child upon learning Santa Claus is not real, suffers a nervous breakdown after being belittled at work, and embarks on a Yuletide killing spree. There were 3 Santa suits that were used, and 2 of them ended up being stolen towards the beginning of the filming. So, alrighty. Fake snow was used as cut up plastic bags because it was obviously filmed not when it was warm. Christmas movies sometimes are made in the springtime, but you gotta have to have snow, and there's a lot of times there's not, because they filmed it months in advance. So, and you can watch Christmas Evil if you want on AMC Plus or Tubi. It's an okay film. The director, he ended up spent a few years saving or collecting the props, so it took him a while for him to actually film the movie, and because he had to on his own collect the props for the toy factory worker or whatever his name is in the movie, because he loved, obviously this guy loves Christmas, and so I think year round he has Christmas decorations up, like year round. So more than just a tree, but little knickknacks and stuff, and Santa Clauses and everything. So, but anyway, the next one, there were 5 of them. I am only 5 of them, but I am only talking about the original. Came out in 1984. It's a rated R, and it is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yeah. And this one is seems like 70s and 80s. They one of the common boy names was Billy, Black Christmas. And this one, little Billy witnesses his parents getting killed by Santa after being warned by his senile grandpa that Santa punishes those who are naughty. Now Billy is 18, out of the orphanage, and he has just become Santa himself. Oh no. That does not sound good at all. It came out, it opened the same weekend as Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. Same weekend, guys. So here's the thing with Silent Night and Deadly Night. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I did not know any of this until today. So please forgive me that I have seen all of them. But I think the last 3 I watched last year, or within the past year or 2. But apparently, when this movie came out, parents and people were, there were protests They were having a cow. Killer Santa. They didn't like that idea. So it was only pretty much out in the theaters for about 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks. But here's the thing. Nightmare on Elm Street was quite successful. I didn't get the numbers for that one, but I'm quite sure it was very successful in the theaters. And since Silent Night, Deadly Night came out the same day, and its budget was just over $1 million, its first weekend, it made $1.4 million in its first week. So it already made its budget back, plus a little bit of profit. So for the 2 weeks it was actually out, it made about $2.5 million. And so it was making a profit. It was going to be successful. TriStar, who put out the film, also, you know, they, I forgot where I was going with this, dude. Oh, yeah. TriStar, they said if it had stayed out in the theaters and was not pulled just after 2 weeks, it could have easily grossed about $20 million, which would be way more in today's money, but still, it was so technically, even for 2 weeks, it almost tripled its money, over doubled its money, it's doubled its budget, so in a way, it made a profit, so it was a little bit of a successful film. It was known as Sleigh Ride until the very last minute, and that's when TriStar decided to change his name to Silent Night, Deadly Night. And Phil Donahue, if you remember that guy, daytime talk show, kind of like Oprah had, and Sally Jesse Raphael and Ginny Jones and others, he devoted 1 hour, one entire show of his, due to the controversy, surrounding this film. Quite sure you could probably find that on YouTube, but I just like. So it was big. People did not like this movie to be out. Killer Santa. Oh my gosh. You know. So yeah, as I said, pulled from the theaters after 2 weeks, and they did have a remake in 2012 called Silent Night, and it had the opposite reaction as the 84 as the original. People actually welcomed the idea of a Killer Santa. Okay. But, you know, yeah, anyway. Yeah. It did come out, as I said, there was 4 sequels. Part 2 came out in 87, it's rated R. And that one, the first 2 came out in theaters. And then the other 3 was straight to video, and the ones that went straight to video actually had known people in it versus the first 2, which had practically the unknowns in it. Okay, whatever. You can watch number 2. That's about the only one of these you can watch. It's not a very good one. But it's a continuing story, because it kind of picks up at the ending of the first one. The ending sets up for the sequel, and it does actually pick up. So, but you can watch it on AMC Plus, Plex, Pluto TV, and Tubi if you're interested. Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. This is where they have little subtitles, or not well, you know, whatever, another little title. Better Watch Out came out in 89, is rated R. And then number 4 is Initiation, 1990, rated R. And number 5, The Toy Maker, 91, it's rated R, of course. And that one has Mickey Rooney in it. And he was one actor that kind of spoke out against the first one in 84 because of the Killer Santa, and yet he ended up being in one of the films, the last one, and the 5th one, in 91, and so some people think he was a hypocrite for that. Well, things can change. In those 7 years, maybe he did it just for the money. I don't know. Some actors do that. Sometimes they do movies just for the money. But anyway, I think the second one is actually like one of the worst ones. Other than that, the other ones weren't that bad. I mean, they're not great. Those 5 movies aren't great. The first one, probably the best one, but they're not great. So, whatever. Here's a fun one. And this one is rated PG, and it came out in 1984. And guess what, y'all? It came out. It was released. Where is it? It was released on the same day as 1984's Ivan Reitman's Ghostbusters. So these two movies were going head to head in the theaters. And this one is directed by Joe Dante. Joe Dante. Written by Chris Columbus, director of Home Alone and a whole bunch of other things. And one of the executive producers, Steven Spielberg. Gremlins. Do I need to say what Gremlins? Gremlins. Here you go. Gremlins. I can't talk. A young man inadvertently breaks 3 rules. Important rules. Concerning his new pet and unleashes a horde of malevolently mischievous monsters on a small town. Starring Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates. Dick Miller's in it. Hoyt's in it. Hoyt Axton? I believe is his last name. Anyway, the daddy of Billy once again. But he's not the killer. Anyway, Mogwai. That is what Gizmo was. You know what that means in Cantonese? Devil. Demon. Gremlin. Yeah. This is what I like right here. The original script. I mean, there were rewrites. But in the original script of Chris Columbus's, has the gremlins killing the dog and cutting off the mother's head and tossing it down the stairs. Those scenes were never shot because Warner Brothers and Joe Dante, they wanted it more family oriented. But another scene that I don't think they filmed, but could have been on the ending floor, also took place at a McDonald's where the gremlins were eating the customers and not the hamburgers. That right there, that right there, I can't even say it with a straight face. That right there would have been hilarious. I would have probably as a kid it would have freaked me out, but now it would be so hilarious. It would be so hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, whatever. The director, Joe Dante, also directed part 2 of Gremlins, and he actually prefers the second part versus the original. I'm not talking about the second one, but if you've seen it, there you go. That one has a lot of laughs, a lot of comedy in it, so some gore in it too, but a lot of comic relief. So anyway, Spielberg, I have to watch this again. He actually is in the film. In the background, when the dad is at the science convention, Spielberg is the man in the electric wheelchair. So go back, watch Gremlins, and pay attention to that scene. Dad's on the phone talking to his wife, or on the phone to his family, and he's at the convention, looking background, the guy in an electric wheelchair. That is Steven Spielberg. There we go. In 1984, Gremlins was the 4th highest grossing film. And this is one thing I would love to see. The original rough cut of Gremlins was 2 hours and 40 minutes. Ended up being like almost an hour. What we got is like an hour shorter. So I would like to see the extra hour, or almost like 55 minutes. So I want to see the rough cut. Can they put out a rough cut of it? Is it possible? Can they do it? I would love to see the extra footage. I would love to see a 2 hour and 40 minute Gremlin movie. It would be great. So Yeah, let's do that. The dog's name in the movie's Barney, but he was played by a dog named Mushroom. Mushroom would also be the dog in Pumpkinhead from 1988. The Mogwai, they were molded and inspired from the Japanese Chin dog breed. So if you look at Gizmo and the other Mogwais, like, okay, I can see it now. Japanese Chin dog breed, okay. Interesting. The budget was $11 million and ended up the domestic gross, not internationally, but domestic, it ended up being $148 million, so it was a major success. No wonder they came out with a second. Yeah, third one. Let's talk about the third one, shall we? I haven't seen anything in like concrete about the third one, but there is word that they are making a third one, and Zach Galligan is back. But here's the thing. In order for me to see it, they gotta have Phoebe Cates back. She's gotta be back as Kate. She was so good in the other ones, and there's a scene in the first one that Warner Brothers and Spielberg really wanted Joe Dante to cut out, but Dante stuck to his guns, and he refused, and he really fought to keep that part in, and it was a Phoebe Cates part, and it's the serious part, and it's the part where she's describing what happened to her dad. Sad part, serious part, and she did such a good job in that scene, and I'm glad that he fought for that part, because that was I thought that scene was great, and they had to have a little bit of some seriousness, and it was only words. It wasn't, you didn't really see the grossness. It's not like they actually didn't show it in flashbacks or whatever. She just told it as a story, so that's probably why. You know, Spielberg let it happen. He was only one of 4 executive producers, but I guess he thought, hey, I'm Spielberg, so I can say what goes and what stays. He went ahead and let Dante keep it in. That way it could be, you know, his movie, his creation, his, you know, vision for the film. And I'm glad that he did. So, Phoebe Cates has to be back. I know she retired and pretty much quit acting. And, you know, she has a family. She's married to Kevin Kline, which is fine. She's busy with her store, her boutique in New York City, which is fine. But it's okay. She can come back. She can play Kate for one last time in Gremlins 3. If they get someone else to play Kate, I'm going to be highly pissed and I won't see the film. That's one. If she chooses not to be in it, that's fine, but don't have that character in the film. Have her maybe killed off or divorced and left. I don't know, just not in the film. That's fine. Okay? Another thing, CGI. Studios are so, CGI is overused. They had millions of animatronics in the 84 one. If it's at a distance, yeah, CGI it. If it's up close and Zach's actually holding it, or it's, you know, within like the scene, feet in the scene and not way in the background, please make it real. Make it animatronic. Please. Gizmo's got to be animatronic. I don't want to see a fake little Gizmo, a CGI Gizmo. It's just like, no. It's a little bit easier, I think, for the actor to have something physical in front of them. Have a physical, you know, thing there to talk to, even though this guy's underneath, you know, behind the camera working with wires and stuff, but still, just please, 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 animatronic. Come on, Hollywood. Lessen the CGI and use animatronics on that one. Of course, that's not what happened. I have to see a trailer. I have to see something in order for me to see that film. So I don't know if it's in post-production, pre-production, if they're filming it, if it's even going to happen. I don't know. But if they do, please get Phoebe Cates back. She's been away long enough. She can come back. Her kids are got to be old enough to take care of themselves. And her store can, I mean, shouldn't take her that long to film Gremlins 3. They're getting Zach back, so that's great. But they gotta have Phoebe back. But anyway. So, those were just a few Christmas horror movies. And I probably will do another, another Christmas movie video in December, as I said earlier. But there is so much information about Gremlins. I only just took just a little bit of what's available to share with you guys. You look online if you're really interested in finding out more, because it's, there's a lot of information right there. And just like I just listed off the Silent Night, Deadly Nights, I did not want to go in what they're all about. They're just extras, sequels. And like Black Christmases, there's 2 other ones. I saw the first 2. Didn't see the 2019. It must be toned down or TV version for it to be PG-13. But anyway, I think that's about it. So, well, it's November. The only Thanksgiving movie that's horror-ish is a movie that I can't bring myself to watch. And I think it's called Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's a killer turkey that's going around. Like, you're not going to eat me this year. Gobble, 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 come after you. I don't know. But, there's not that many Thanksgiving horror, I don't think. So, anyway. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like my video. I'm quite sure there's plenty of other horror Christmas movies that I could have talked about, but I think those are pretty much the main ones, or the big ones, or maybe not Christmas Evil isn't all that major, but anyway. That one was, I kind of flipped on that one. That one was just to make the video a little bit longer. So anyway, y'all, I'll see you next week. So have fun, and be careful, and just be nice. Thanks, guys. See you later.